As a self-proclaimed horror enthusiast, I've been in the podcast-consuming business, so to speak, for quite a few years now. Some of my followers, upon hearing my sleep-inducing monotonous tones, have requested that I flip that and try out the narrative arts for myself. And so, here I begin. Draw along with me as I cover the creepiest disappearance I've yet to find, or, perhaps, settle into bed with the comforting embrace of the unknown. 68-year-old James Tedford, sometimes known just as Tedford, boarded a bus back to the Bennington Soldiers' Home in Vermont after visiting with members of his family and was promptly never seen again. While the obvious end to the story may seem to simply be a matter of a veteran who chose to disappear of his own accord, the details of this case, as well as the local superstitions of the area, make this a harrowing tale to dive into. To begin with, the area in question is often regarded as the Bennington Triangle, named as such for several unusual missing persons cases confined to the area. This name, as well as much of the research on the topic, was coined by author Joseph A. Citro. This phenomena has been compared by some, including the author himself, to other similar triangles of disappearances and unexplained happenings. While I am only covering a single case today, I would like to note that Tedford is only one of many that give this area its niche notoriety. On the 1st of December 1949, Tedford was escorted by relatives to a bus station in St. Albans where he was to, theoretically, end up back home safe and sound in roughly 8 hours, but heavy snow caused a delay in his trip. This accompaniment by his family was the last time he could be completely confirmed as being sighted. With that being said, out of 14 people having taken the bus with Tedford, witnesses were recorded as stating that he was seen boarding the bus as well as being sighted sleeping in his seat at the last stop before Bennington. However, upon arrival, the only physical evidence of the man left on the bus was a timetable left open on his seat and his luggage still left on the rack. This is the point of the story where we have only rumors and conjecture to work with. Firstly, Tedford was not reported as missing until the 7th of December, and as far as I could find, there was no record of who reported him missing, the thoughts of the police investigating at the time, or how thoroughly they searched. The first 48 hours after a person goes missing are considered to be the most vital by many professionals in the field, and this time range had clearly been lost in this case. Secondly, with the area being both heavily forested and well known for missing persons cases, we can make an assumption that it would not be difficult for a person to get lost, or perhaps even go missing on purpose. 1949 was, of course, a different time, and paper trails were not always well kept. Thirdly, and perhaps of high importance, many sources state that Tedford's wife, Pearl Tedford, had gone missing after he returned from serving in the military 2 years prior to his own disappearance. This disappearance and the resulting grief may have weighed heavily on the man's mind. It is unfortunately common for people plagued by woes of life to desire to start over completely new, or, finding the sorrow too much to handle, wish to find an end in their own way. I also think it important to note that he had recently visited with family, which may have either spurred on further emotional turmoil, or possibly been the actions of a man wishing to visit with loved ones one last time. In a less emotionally heavy train of thought, it is still eerie how a man could be taken from a bus between stops. Granted, it is possible witnesses could have been mistaken, but I do find it odd that they specifically stated he was asleep 1 minute and then never witnessed leaving the bus. 14 is not a large number of people, and assuming every passenger was spoken to, you would imagine that at least one would have recalled him getting off at the last stop. It is also strange to me that he left his belongings. This may suggest he either did not intend to need any belongings where he was going, or left not of his own planning. Of course, make of that as you will. With a case this old, and no leads to suggest where Tedford may have gone, it is difficult to reach a satisfying conclusion. You may err on the side of the logical and fill in the gaps with something as simple as mistaken witnesses, or you may take the stance that this area, already rife with unusual disappearances, simply took another victim into its mysterious web. Whatever you may believe, we have come to the end of the story, and I must now state my appreciation for your time and feedback on this video. Whether you leave a like or a dislike, I honestly want to know what you thought. If there are other cases or stories you'd like to hear me narrate, feel free to leave a comment below. Finally, if you would like to support my creations while I work my way up to getting AdSense, I have a Patreon which I will link in the description below. Until next time, grow.